This is my double port lid for my IBC. And I want to show you why I like it, and I want to show you how I made it. So first of all, why I like it is I can now attach a clean in place sprayer into my IBC and walk away. And what I do is I put about 20 gallons of water, the amount of sanitizer I need for the water, and then I have a chugger pump, just a low volume hobby pump, recirculating, and it's thoroughly wetting down the walls and the top of the IBC. And I can put on a timer, whatever I want, but it's taking care of business for me. I don't have to fill the IBC with sanitizer. I just have to get it thoroughly wetted with enough concentration for the IBC. So that's one thing. I really like it. And it, again, standard 1.5 inch for me, tri-clamp sanitary fitting. In the meantime, if I want to add something, I can just open the other port and add it. I can push CO2 in there. I can pour a fluid with the funnel in there. I can make additions without taking off the whole top. So I really like that. Now, how did I make this thing? Well, first of all, this is a 1 inch normal pipe thread to try 1.5 inch tri-clamp fitting, and it is a male, so 1 inch MPT to 1.5 inch tri-clamp. I have a 304 stainless 1 inch coupling in here. What you can't see between the two is a 1 inch MPT nipple, close nipple. And then 1 inch here that I can thread things in and out of. Now, to get everything to line up and be relatively snug, that is, I don't want fluid leaking between the stages. I want to reduce gas leaks. I've used tri-clamp, 1.5 inch tri-clamp washers. Now, this is important. You have rigid ones that are fairly firm, and you have silicone ones. And I use the rigid one as a washer where the metal is, and I use the silicone one to squish up. So you have two of these and 2 of these, and that makes up the gap that might be in here and gives it a relatively good moisture gas seal. Now remember, you only need a couple inches of moisture, of air pressure, to do most of what you're doing. So it doesn't really matter. Now, another thing I like about this is that I can unthread the 1 inch plastic piece here, set it aside. This is my clean in place. And I can put on a pre-cut racking cane. So if I put that in there and I put that down to my transfer pump, I can put a gas pressure fitting on here. That looks like that. And I can slowly add CO2 with it. I like CO2, you like CO2. I can push CO2 into it, and that will push fluid up that racking cane until it starts to prime down into the hose. Once it's primed, I can take the pressure off because it's just going to pull. But cutting it to length means I'm not sticking it into the lees. Okay, now I have a longer one for when I want to get down further, but for when I'm just starting, I don't even want to get close to the lees. So I have this one. That's it in the end game. That's where you want to go if you build one of these things. This is just Schedule 40 PVC pipe. I scrubbed off the labels, glued together. Everything's easy to clean. Everything is non-corrosive. What you can't see in here, and I'm going to show you in detail later, is how my machinist buddy machined that little small, it's the same thread as the other one, but the neck of it's smaller. He machined it for me, not only to give me a whole 1 1/4 inch diameter, to accept the 1-inch male pipe thread nipple, but also to remove obstruction so I have a flat mating surface on both sides. He did that for me. And I'll get some other parts to show you how the machinist did it, because your machinist will probably want to do this too. Okay, that's it for now. Hi. Okay, now I'm going to show you how this fitting was put together. Like I mentioned, quite simply, beginning, I have an 1.5-inch tri-clamp to a female 1-inch national pipe thread, which will be FPT, female pipe thread. So that's 1-inch standard pipe thread. On it, and part of it's in there, and I don't want to try and get it out again, but I've got this close nipple 1-inch pipe thread that goes in there. I have 2 collars, one which is a rigid, put it on, and I have a silicone one. Now those push up into this hole and they rest on this outer skirt, and that pushes in. This is a snug fit, but that's a good thing. You do want it to be snug. Now this started out as this. I don't know how well you can, there you go. You can see all that stuff that's in there. Up to your machinist, but what you're going to want to do is you need the 1.25-inch hole here to accommodate the 1-inch piece here. You need that. And then you need to take these tabs, there we go, and you need to plane them down to a smooth surface. He turned it on a lathe. Now, you're going to ask, how does he chuck that stupid little thing onto a lathe? My machinist's specialty is drive shafts. So he looks at it and he goes, I got this, go away. What he did is he took a piece of rolled pipe. On his lathe, he cut threads in to match these threads. Okay, so he matched those threads, and then he was able to turn down so you have a smooth working surface on the inside, just enough, and also to put a boring bit in there, or a boring bar, and to cut my 1-inch hole. So, I mean, the man is a genius in his old right. He's in his 80s. He's old school, looks at it, gets it done. The only thing digital on any of his equipment is a runout gauge. That's it. So, handy piece. If you have a machinist make these for you, they're going to have to make one of these to do it well. I don't recommend you try to do this at home. Have a machinist do it. If a whole lot of you in a month after I air this video want these, then maybe we'll work something out. But right now, I don't think he's much interested. If a whole bunch of you want these, he might be willing to do it because he's already got this, and we'll keep this here. Okay, so put that in. Goes in from the outside. The rigid one supports that lip. Very narrow lip there. And I've looked for washers that I could use as saddle washers. They don't really exist. You just have to go with the flow. That's why you put the rigid one on top and the silicone one on the bottom so it can compress it. If you tighten it too much, this will just push past. You don't want that to happen, but it's not horrible. It just happens. So I put that there. Then same thing here. I push on it. I got to get this in here. This is a tight squeeze going in here. It is. I don't know if you can see it, but it's going to take me a little bit of work to catch a thread. Of course, once you've caught a thread, there, you got screw force. You have an advantage. And I'm putting that on there. And I can either thread on, maybe I'll just leave that one there. I don't know. But this is my clean in place. Works really well. But if I want to, I can just put my racking cane on. I mean, how cool is that, huh? Now, when you pressure test this, and I don't recommend you put in much pressure at all into these tanks because they're not pressure vessels. But when you start working, you may see moisture fluid leaking here, or you may put soapy water there to look for gas leak. Ask how much you can live with compared to how much it's just to get things started. Once you get the siphon started, you're going to have to do something here. I plumbed this to the lower tank section to take captured CO2 to replace the cider that was in the tank, ideally to inhibit infection and aging. Thank you very much. So that's how this goes together. This one here, there we go. Oh, fiddle. I talked about the 3/4 inch. That's 3/4 inch. And I may take this back to my mechanic buddy with this and ask him to clean this up a little bit. However, it's really good. One thing I want to mention is the way the threads are done on these, they're not tapered threads. They're straight threads. So having a collar on the inside for them to seal up against gives you a good gas seal. There's an advantage to that. You may want to chase it a little bit to smooth it, to get snag points out, keep it sanitary. But again, that's a 3/4 inch fitting. And for 1.5" tri-clamp, that's it's good throughput. So that's my wonderful gizmo. I hope you approve. So far, we're doing pretty well. I'm going to be racking cider soon, and I will record that to show you how well it works. Because again, I only need to, if it's going to start off here, I only need that many inches of water pressure to get it going into the pipe and to start the siphon. How cool is that? So stay tuned. Talk to you later.